Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to MTG Arena. Today is Monday, November 25th. It's basically Black Weekend, Black Monday, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, all merged together at this point. That if there are any sales on any of these times, that they've spread out to just be a 35 plus day Christmas holiday purchasing season. Which means I probably won't get too much work done this entire week. But we do need to re-roll something, and we might as well re-roll the thing I haven't made any progress with. Over the weekend I had a backup running, and so because the backup is still going on, that was in the way. So I spent Saturday and Sunday just getting the 15 wins and trying to work my way up to the higher ranks, which I guess the question should be, we're about at 70 here. That's our next level. 80, 90. So we have to get to 90 to get this far, this pet. You have to get to 100, I believe, to get all the orb masteries. So there's still a lot to do. Did get one orb to master, and so let's put it here. I believe that's the next place to put it, if we're just going kind of chronologically here. Although I don't know if chronologically is the right word. And then the next orb will go here, and then we'll go here, 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 and here, and just keep on going and keep on going. That also means we have some packs. We did learn something, that some of the special events we've been doing to get skins were pointless, waste of money effectively, since I didn't have those cards, and there isn't a guarantee that I'll ever buy the packs to get those cards. I also was almost 100% playing my black deck, so I was adjusting that. And I think I just kind of adjusted it to a point where, until I have more cards, there really isn't a lot of room for improvement. I feel like I am kind of falling into this pattern of I can't improve anything more until I start opening Core 2020 packs. Or until the next expansion comes out and I open a bunch of packs that way. And it really does feel like it's just going to be a different experience than Hearthstone, in the sense that it's, even for Magic Arena, compared to paper Magic, even though Magic Arena is much cheaper, we are pretty much always going to be at the mercies of pay to win and randomization mechanics. So let's see, we need to do blue, blue, and blue. So it's all blue today until we get the 3 daily quests done. Yeah, I could do this and play this for 5,000, and that would get me more Ravnica cards and potentially some gems back. Is there a reason that we would want to do this, though? Is it better to buy a Ravnica Throne of Eldraine pack, or just save up your gold? Yeah, it's a hard decision to make. Let's see, do we even have anything else to deal with? When does this end? Does it even say? Doesn't seem like it really ends anytime soon. Let's do it. Let's go in here. So, when playing ranked, we are going to be in this situation where the thing that's going to happen here is we're going to have 2 or 3 colors on it. And if I use my overlay to help me, the text is going to be incredibly small and it's going to take forever. I think my backup, even though I told it to pause, is not really pausing. Let's see. So this is the best one, clearly. And let's start with that. Whenever you sire or the bold, or whenever you sire Kara, the bold, or an instant or sorcery spell you control does damage to the overlay isn't becoming a problem here because it's hiding the text. Tap, deal 1 damage to any target. Alright. Can't be blocked by something. It's probably the best card we have. And it's a red-green, and it would point us in a direction, so let's take that. So there's something to be said about how a lot of the cards, and we've talked about this before, but a lot of the cards on Magic the Gathering are just these commons and uncommons that are completely useless cards. They create way too many. It's kind of applaudable in contrast to go back and think how Hearthstone mostly did a good job of only putting in cards that really mattered instead of being in a huge pain and forcing you to open potentially 250 packs to even have a decent collection. So we have something with reach that's a 1/5, which I guess I could use that, but it's not particularly a very good card. Or let's see, is there something better to play? This takes too long already. We don't have a lot of news today, but there is definitely problems with how this all kind of breaks down. So now we're doing blue, red, and green. And honestly, we probably should just run through this and try and take everything that we have. Like the strongest of the strongest cards that are available to us. Let's see. This creates a food token. This is theoretically better than this. Yeah, I guess we're just going with the highest value, and we'll see what happens. Like, trying to build a strategy around this stuff is basically impossible, and I think the cards I'm picking are the cards I'm keeping, so in a weird way it might just be smarter to kind of have a diversity spread and say, well, here's a card that won't really make any sense right now, but at the very least it would do something helpful in the long run into my, as far as my collection goes. Yeah, it seems like that's the best card. Or we can create more food tokens. Let's see. Mistford River Turtle. Sounds a lot like Launch Turtle on Yu-Gi-Oh! I wonder if Launch Turtle must be a joke reference to this card. Yeah, I really am just going highest value cards. And that's pretty much it. It's really not like you get a lot of options here. It is kind of just do the best you can. So this is probably the best card. So if these are the cards you keep, you should probably just take the whatever you've got that would be helpful. So yeah, take this best card instead of, say, taking this or any of the other cards. And the untapped overlay app, I'm sure, is not really that useful. You know what, come to think of it, there probably is, there's another number here being said. That's the number times 4 that you can have in a deck. So there probably is a system here where you would just play a bad run of this draft, and then that bad run of this draft would turn out to be kind of a great way to get new cards instead of just kind of randomly getting new cards. Like ideally, I want to get all these new cards. I want Arena to be a little bit kinder to me than it probably is. But unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna have that luck. And it seems like if those numbers are accurate, we probably do have as many cards as we would probably ever get. Let's see. Like a lot of these do seem to have 2 and 3s over their out of 4 over their name. I'm not really seeing anything that says 0. Yeah, it's probably better. Yeah, I may actually be approaching a point where Throne of Eldraine cards, I've got as many as I'm gonna get, and doing this draft is actually a waste of time. Because the odds of you getting something super useful, I think, has fallen down pretty low. Let's see. Because you're not guaranteed any good cards in this. You're just left wandering. There you go. Just kind of left with the Yeah, I need to play the Core 2020 is what I need to do. The Core 20 draft deck would have been way better. See, and this is way too slow. Yeah, I think we'll take this. I probably need to start thinking about doing deck rebuilds on dual colors. Like single color strategies, I think have gone close to as far as we can hope that they can go. And it is probably now time to just do dual color deck builds. And I think that's maybe as good as it's gonna get for me for a while. I swear I don't have 4 of these, but it says 4 of 4. I don't know how that could be true. It is a little lucky they make the numbers look a little bit better. So they're different colors if you have 4 of 4 versus if you have only a few numbers. But inherently, being a free-to-play player, also I'm never going to get a 100% collection. That's out of the realm of possibility. So anything I am doing right now is mostly just around silliness. Like maybe if you got 1 of every card and then you played 1 of every card, that would be a way to help you a little bit. I suppose I am in that position where, since I don't really understand what I'm doing still, it would potentially be helpful to to continue down the path of unlocking cards and learning. But you also kind of get into a weird position here where we have like 59 of 40 cards that we want to play. Are we done? Yeah, I guess we're done. Let's play and see what happens. Now we've really got to win here if we want to increase our chance at an extra pack. Yeah, there's this Magic the Gathering like game night bundle where they take a bunch of terrible cards and make 5 decks that allegedly have been built to be well balanced against each other. And so you have these 5 decks and some other gadgets, goodies, dice, things like that, to have 5 people who don't play Magic, don't pay for cards, don't do any of that garbage, could potentially have 1 game night and play 1 game. But then the review I saw of it said it's just incredibly slow and incredibly boring because there are such bad cards in it that it just goes on forever, where nobody can do anything and everybody's just trying to draw for some card to save them. And I've certainly felt that in the games I've played. I'm also trying to wrap my head around how many people are theoretically in this draft game. Is it 7? In theory, is that why we're getting a pile of what seems to be about, I would say 18, 20 cards? Like, if there are, say, when we open a pack, we get, I would say, about 7 cards, 8 cards. So 8 cards times 3 packs would only be 8, 16, 24. Multiply that by 5 people, and that's too many. Yeah, I don't know how many people you're in that same shuffle for those same draft cards. If you're really in the same shuffle for anybody else's draft cards, which I don't think you really are. I think it's all simulated. I think if you don't pick the card, it doesn't do anything or go anywhere. So there's effectively a digital draft trash element that's happening. But I do think I've figured out the way to play at least your first game, if not your first couple of games in draft. It is just to look at the cards and have the untapped overlay enabled and click on cards you don't have to expand your collection. It doesn't really benefit you to have more than 4 of even the ultra rare cards. And I suppose it does, in a weird way, allow you to kind of pick and choose and take the randomness out of just opening packs in general, for the slight sacrifice of losing an arena, which immediately we're starting this off on a bad foot, because as soon as it wants to actually run or try to match a game, it doesn't want to match a game. So let's exit out and relaunch the game. Let's see. Yeah, I paused the backup, but I kind of feel like the backup is still taking up some bandwidth, but also I feel like the streaming itself just seems to take up bandwidth, and I don't know how to really fix that. Do I make a worse video stream? Is that what has to happen here so that Magic can actually find games most of the time? Alright. So 7 wins. Let's see. 40 card deck. So I have like a 40 card deck. And I really don't have a 40 card deck. But maybe if we took out all the land, we'd have a 40 card deck. Let's see. Land is 17, so most of the lands we do are adding up to that. But this seems to be good enough. So whatever. It seems to work. Yeah. One of the things I think I've learned is a deck destruction deck is not a strategy to play for. Yeah, I probably should have mulliganed there, but I'm not going to. Yeah, you don't want a deck destruction deck. You want instead a hand destruction deck. The odds of you getting rid of all of your characters, your opponent's cards, are extremely low. And you can see this guy has like 34 cards. I have like 60. So this is a real mix of an experience. I imagine he drew the same number of cards, but then did something different. Let's see. This is all about creating food tokens, which is probably the worst way to build a deck. This card's useless, but he's destroying my good cards, not me. Tossing a card. I stupidly took a sleeping pill, not the kind that actually makes you go to sleep. Mind you, just the kind that manages to make it so that you stay asleep and sleep a little bit better. I took it probably about 7-8 hours before we started streaming, and then insomnia kicked in and I never slept, so like after the stream happens I probably will just immediately fall asleep and stay asleep for a very long time, which is fine because I still have my backup to go. My backup is incredibly large. It's like 3.5 terabytes. Almost certainly some of that is just redundant backup on top of redundant backup on top of redundant backup. I would highly suspect that there's major problems of just duplicate files all over both my PC and my backup server. But it's frankly a little too hard to deal with the to try and go and delete all of those files. Yeah. I'm gonna be mostly off and on all these Black Friday sales, but some of them will be starting now. If you would willing to get open box items from Amazon, there's like extra discounts for open box products, which might include, if you're lucky, a Xbox One or a PS4 or a PS3 or video game things like that. Otherwise, I imagine we won't be seeing too many great video game sales, and throughout the week I'm just gonna have to hop in and hop out, looking at sales and just seeing what's happening, what isn't. The only thing was that the Lego VIP weekend happened this weekend, so yeah, I had to act fast to see that happen, see that all the way through, otherwise I was gonna miss out on that. Alright, so now it becomes a question of what do I want to toss? All these are like way too expensive. Way too expensive cards. Let's go ahead and toss that, I guess. Yep. So I watched a video covering a game called Pathologic, or Pathological. I think it's Pathologic. It may not even be called Pathologic, come to think of it. It may actually be something, a completely different name. But it starts with a P. It's a weird Russian game that looks very weird. It was translated to English. It's very highly rated, but in watching the video and seeing the person talk about the game and just how the game seems to actively enjoy making life difficult on the player and really doesn't have much of a gameplay mechanic that is enjoyable. It has like a terrible fighting mechanic and a terribly slow walking mechanic with no run. So there's a point to that where it's just not worth your effort to play a game that's that frustrating. And they made a sequel, Pathologic 2, and I removed that from my wish list too. They had made it to the wish list. I bumped them down to the fall list, but I think I probably will just remove them. I'm certainly not in the mood to be covering. I'm just not in the mood to cover games that are intentionally frustrating. That seems like a waste of everybody's time. I've run into too many games that are unintentionally frustrating. And yeah. Even though I think Pathologic might be a hidden gem, it's a hidden gem with so many caveats that it doesn't make sense. Alright. Target creature gets +2 and +2 in flying. Okay. And then can't play this, can't play this. Can do this. Can do this. Can do this. And we're pretty much set up for our first loss. So first game we have to look at on Steam is called Glowcoma Chapter 1. It looks like it is a horror first-person shooter game that doesn't look terrible, and frankly I can't even really call it an asset flip. It does have this weird Chapter 1 element to it, and it is trying to do a horror / first-person shooting element that very few games seem to get right, like after having played Fear 1 and just all the frustration there. It's $5.99, it's English full audio. I'm willing to put it on the fall list. We'll see if it gets any reviews, but also decent chance it doesn't. I would say the enemy style there does also seem to be something slightly different. Not just your standard zombie fare. I did manage to record one 30-minute episode of playing Zombie Driver or Zombie Race HD, which is a PC port of a 2009 Android game where you just drive around cars shooting zombies and running them over, which in concept always sounds interesting, in actual implementation often isn't. Clearly I don't have enough, clearly I can already say in this deck I need to like toss half of the cards. I was just completely toss them and build a deck on the cards that actually are playable. And then, so it does seem like you have 19 cards you can pick in a draft just to use because you want to get those cards, and then the rest are cards that you kind of need to pick to actually make your game make sense. Of course I didn't do that, so here I'm playing a 3 or 4 or perhaps 5 color deck that has really no strategy in it at all. Next game we have on Steam is called Infinite Beat. Let's get the name right. So looks like just another neon, brightly colored line rider music game. Early access requires VR, $6.79, which is too expensive for VR. Yep. And nothing special here. It does kind of go to show that Valve has not even begun to even think about curating anything, because had they... Ooh, yeah. Oh man, I stupidly just realized I'm gonna have to play another one of these drafts next month. Well, I probably would have done that anyways, but... Alright. Wishing Well is like probably the blue we want to get rid of. like, do we have anything blue wise that makes it worthwhile? So if I was to say get rid of this blue, this blue, this blue, this blue, and this blue, then we have a couple of whites. We were really going for a red and a green. So let's get rid of this. This card's probably not worth having. This would be white colors. 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, just to keep that balanced. Red and green. I think we could probably do that. So if we get rid of this and this and then this, definitely that and that and that and that. That leaves us at 45 cards. And get rid of that one. And get rid of that one. And yeah, I don't think that there's anything besides red and green now. So you get rid of these 2 swamps and these 2 plains, and then we start adding back up into this. Like generally in a constructed deck you would want 26 cards, mana cards. We're going with like 20 right now, and we still are 6 cards over what we should have. So then it becomes more of a question of what is our real strategy. And is it really worth having all these cards? Like there's such a weird balance to all of this that really doesn't make a lot of sense. In a lot of cases it's just too crazy. I think this is red and white, green and white, so we can get rid of that. And this is red and white, so we get rid of that, and then that just brings us down to red and green. But some of these cards might be really good. I imagine some of these cards are very good, but we need to actually try and win. So let's jump back in here and give it a chance. I forgot we had to do a ranked draft each month to get that ranked reward anyways, so it was a waste of 500 gold to do this, particularly since I am almost certainly going to jump on a case to get the core 20 cards, because it's gonna just be almost a year, almost a full year until core 21 cards come out, and I need those core cards. I think more than anything else, I need that. And Hearthstone was kind of good about, even 5 years in, even in the last days of me playing Hearthstone, they were still giving me regular card packs even though I had all of the cards, just to make sure that people had a chance of having a close to a complete collection on the regular generic Hearthstone card packs. which never got banned. Well, not as a whole, at least. A handful of cards got stuck in the Hall of Fame, but still the vast majority of the general cards, the regular cards, worked perfectly fine. Alright, we'll give this a couple minutes, and we have another game over here called Grudge TV. I don't think there will be any video game news this week. Clearly this is a top-down twin-stick shooter that's too zoomed in, and it's just like a Smash TV clone. It's free to play, English only. English with allegedly full audio. Yep. With this being American Thanksgiving, I doubt there will be too much news. I mean, you could certainly talk about how Microsoft kind of ate Stadia's lunch by announcing and highlighting just little aspects of their xCloud service. I saw an article that says 71% of the top selling games on Steam have loot boxes in them, which is not a good number, certainly, but it's not surprising either. Otherwise, it's been kind of quiet on this front. Like, not really a lot to point out or a lot to say, and I imagine this entire week will be that way. I do want to try to continue to play games past the point in which I have news. For the past month or so, I've been stopping playing Hearthstone and just having it sit here, do nothing, while I cover the last bits of the news. And a lot of that often happens to be because I just, oops, nope, that was not what I wanted to play. Yeah, we can click cancel as long as it's not broken. So I want to try to avoid that. I don't want to end up on incredibly long wait time screens as I'm wrapping up, or just the main menu. Next we have a game here called Nyanko Dreams, which just looks like a low effort RPG. Probably a Chinese game if I was to guess. 59 cents discounted. Yeah, English, Japanese, Chinese. One achievement. That potentially is an achievement game. Now look at this. After I tweaked it, now I've got some mana. Now I am set to go. So, go ahead and throw this. Nyanko Dream, of course not enough quality that I'm going to put it on the follow list. Play this. Do this. He's got the dwarfs. He's just gonna keep on playing these. Although the odds of him actually having 7 of the 7 doors on the field are probably pretty low. Okay. When flexing in the details, combat damage to player, you may sacrifice it when you do destroy target or artifact creature or whatever. Okay. Target attacking creature gets +2/+2. Each attacking non-human creature, that's a human soldier, gains trample until the end of the turn. So we'll see if he wants to block with something. Next we have a game on Steam here called My Lucky Koi. Or Koi? Perhaps? Looks like it's a visual novel. Might be a Chinese visual novel that's just really well animated. English was not supported, $3.39. Chinese, yes. There's a kind of a lack of skin being shown in these costumes and a lack of variety in these screenshots that led me to suspect this might be a I gotta make sure to actually play. It might be a Chinese visual novel instead of a Japanese one. They are getting, so a good Chinese is starting to look a lot more like a good Japanese visual novel, and it may start to become close to impossible to tell the two apart. This can't be blocked by walls or knights. Yeah. In my constructed decks also, I'm in this same position where I can get the mana and the land right. I can get the number of spells and things right. But what I can't do is what I really can't do this turn is get the good cards. So I might be playing as good as I can, and I still am not really getting anywhere. See, next we have a game on Steam here called Cthulhu's Catharsis, which, while in a alliterative name, is not very visually interesting. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. $13.49 is too expensive for what I'm saying. Even discounted. The English full audio. Yep, this looks like it's a Risk clone, just with low effort, a little effort put into it. Alright, so gotta play this. Then we can create a food token. And then it seems like this just stays here. And then you can play it whenever. And I can already see the beginning of the end, which might be fine. Like, I didn't have a ton of games left over from Friday or over the weekend, and I did check, so it's not like I didn't look to see if any games came out. It's just obviously no games came out and no news happened, and so it's just gonna be a slow news day, which is fine. This may just be a slow Steam stream anyways. Also, if I get really ambitious and I have the bandwidth and I have the time and energy, the Steam sale for Black Friday, I assume, is going to happen either on Black Friday or possibly Cyber Monday, or sometime in between, or sometime between now and the next couple of weeks. Regardless when that happens, if I have the time and energy, I might do a special stream in which I just look at that what's on sale and kind of compare it to my wish list and potentially do a little bit of shopping. Although I'm trying to kind of avoid shopping in general. Yeah, having to buy a new video card and spending $500 extra on that probably has eaten away at what I should spend on video games this year. Completely. And it's kind of hard to justify buying more games with this new realization that Steam really only wants me to have three episodes at most come out on a daily basis. That really doesn't work for video game streamers though, because unless I was gonna just straight up have a 3-hour video episode come out every day per game, it doesn't make sense. And we know that the watch time has not massively increased. However, on the other hand, there's yet another video out there that just popped up of talking about how terrible Twitch is, so it doesn't look like there's a lot of options one way or the other. See, next we have a game on Steam here called Naxia. It's already mixed reviewed. It looks kind of like a Diablo clone. 14 reviews, early access, $19.99, English with subtitles. Let's see if we can get some reviews. Let's see. Is there even a reason to block this guy? He has a handful anyways. Okay. What does this ability do? 1 damage to any target. If I attack with this, it doesn't do that 1 damage. So next, all attack. Then next. Yeah, it's asking me if I want to sacrifice it. See. This negative review says the animations are great and the art direction is solid, but the game wants to succeed on any level. It needs more depth. Yeah, sure, combat feels floaty, controller inputs are wonky, and the game is currently light on content, but that's a given at this stage. So there are some people cheering it on even if they're reviewing it negatively right now. Let's look at this developer. See if they've developed or published anything else on Steam, and the answer to that was no. And do you not have a time limit here? Am I really playing against anybody at all? Or am I just playing against an AI? I feel like I might just be playing against an AI. If I am playing against an AI, I would appreciate if it decided to throw me a bone and lose, surrender. Yeah. I'm gonna be exceedingly generous and put Naxia on the follow list. Give it some more time. Alright, so block this. And block. And then this can only power that guy up, not help me. This deck is just garbage. In some weird way that worked. I don't know how I did this, but somehow I kind of turned this around. So this Goldilocks character card's not terrible if you play it late game. In a weird way, I think I am moving a little bit more to a control playstyle than an aggro playstyle. That might be more accurate of the way I play. I think you kind of have to play that way when you don't have the best of the best cards. Like, aggro's only going to work in Magic if you are playing the absolute best cards possible. So, alright. Just hit that. Hit that. Hit that. And hit that. There you go. Yeah, that's kind of the weirdness of this whole system. That even if you do have a super powerful creature, it doesn't mean much of anything. Let's see if anything wants to block. Probably should have done that first so I got a card draw earlier, but whatever. Some of the artwork I was looking at for older Magic the Gathering cards does seem pretty cartoony and childish by modern standards. Something like this Goldilocks character compared to even this, which was, maybe this was a reprint of an older card or an older character, but that looks pretty cartoony compared to that. And most of the art now does look pretty much like this. Now it's pretty hyper realistic. Although I still think that they have some major problems with color palettes that they need to address. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Pass with that, and then block with that. Alright. Pass here. Okay. Can't be blocked. Target creature gets +2/+2. And play this. Play this. And next, I'm gonna attack with this and attack with that only. So is this AI going to let me win, or is he going to block? You would think he would block. Hmm. Each attacking non-human character gets trample. Well, that is a creature elk thing. So there's trample, we've won. We saved that till the end, and that really wasn't an intended strategy or anything, it's just we managed to do it. Maybe this is supposed to be an indicator of how many victories this character has had. There we go, now we're at bronze tier 4. If we could get up to bronze tier 3, that'd be great. I'd certainly have made this mistake that I made a lot better. Is there anything we want to change here? Maybe get rid of some cards and play for a better strategy. Not really. Every card I played is pretty much as good as the next. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here called Nevrosa Primal Ritual, which looks like it might be an asset flip, just horror game of some sort. Maybe. Requires VR, it's $16.99. You know what? It's an English and Russian game that I'm iffy about that. At this point, I think I've hit the snapping point in my mind where I'm just willing to start saying forget these VR games. That even if they are really good looking, they're not ever going anywhere or doing anything, and I'm never gonna own the VR headset, and I'm never gonna play these games. I think perhaps Half-Life Alyx's announcement in particular may play a part in that idea. That I just may not be willing these days to bother to consider a lot of these VR games. Because if Half-Life Alyx actually does manage to be successful, and there's a bunch of clones or people jumping on board to make that game, make games of that quality, then practically everything on the fall list right now that's a VR game is just a first generation VR game that has no intention. I saw a advertisement for a VR game where the guy was able to interact a lot more than you normally would see for a VR experience, and he was able to grab a enemy AI and shove him in a locker, and several other very interactive things that were probably somewhat staged, but it was kind of ridiculous how violent and bullyish this person playing the game immediately became. Yeah, it would not occur to me to grab somebody and shove them in a locker ever, particularly outside of school times when talk of such things maybe happened. Okay. +3 is a giant. See, that's just +3/+3 forever. So, that's nice. See, next we have a game on Steam here called Memory Match Saga. I didn't curate the games today, and it's pretty obvious. So it's just a match the cards game that is some extremely low effort looking Android game that seems to have been ported to PC. $1.49, then a ton of bundles. See, that would bump it up another $7.40. Clearly that's not a quality game. Alright. Let's go play this. So we'd need 5. 5 damage to target creature. At least 3 red mana, do 3 damage to that creature's controller. Whenever one or more non-human creature you control deals combat to the player, draw a card. Okay. And this is a giant on top of being a peasant human, so does that mean he's a non-human, or does that mean he still is a human? That's a hard question to figure out. Alright. Create a food token. And then sacrifice 2 food tokens. To make a 77 giant. Nice. Then let's see. I guess I could attack with these, and then he'll block them, and then it won't really matter. So yeah, we'll just save ourselves some time. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Obituary Studio, Stud IDEO Studios co-founder Jose Zambrano has apparently died. VR developer and co-founder at 26. So I'm assuming that this is probably not natural causes. Let's see. He was selected as the studio's most recent VR party game. The Take was selected as one of 15 games featured at the Smithsonian's America's Art Museum 2018. Let's see. Yeah, we did. I'd have to dig deeper to say something nasty about him, and there's really no reason to dig deeper to say something nasty about somebody in their obituary. If I was to guess, he's probably did commit suicide, because he's one of those heavily emotional people that can't deal with reality not being the way they suspect reality should be. If I was to just randomly guess. Alright. Attack. Attack. And attack. It's a shame I don't have trample. So that's 2 cards. Which... Alright. Create a food token. Put that on the field. Yep. Let's see. YouTube blog has a creator blog here. My final letter in 2019 updates for this year. This I assume is bought from Susan Wojcicki. Let's see if there's anything here. There's a paragraph supporting creator and artist success, which, yeah, right. Here's a paragraph. For gaming creators, we heard loud and clear that our policies need to differentiate between real-world violence and gaming violence. We had a policy update coming soon that will just do that. The new policy will have fewer restrictions for violence in games, but maintain a high bar to protect our audience from real-world violence. One of the things about the COPA thing, which almost certainly needs to be mentioned, is I looked at that, and according to my demographics in particular, and maybe this is just my demographics and no one else's, there seems to be exactly 0% of the audience under 13 that watches my videos. Perhaps that is because they quickly or had always removed any statistics that said anybody was under 13, so that the lowest category was always 13 to 17. Possible. Also, my demographics have me at exactly 100% of a male audience. I guess proving that there are no women on the internet, as the old meme goes. Either that or just very specifically even amongst my small audience, there are no female viewers, which is kind of believable. Yeah, if I had 10,000 people watching my videos and I had a 0% female audience, that would be more questionable. Do we have enough now to do this? Yes. Whatever, he blocks I've won. Somehow I've managed to make it to 2 victories here. This must be evidence that I'm getting better. Let's see, this article goes on. Improved communication and engagement. Yeah, that would be nice. What would be really nice is if they would... next here's a paragraph, living up to our responsibility. What would be nice is if they abandoned the YouTube Studio beta, which they've just called now YouTube Studio, and taken a step back and admitted that it's not ready for prime time. But they won't do that, clearly. The final paragraph here is talking about that Article 17 EU Copyright Directive garbage, which I guess that's just going to keep on coming back and back and back. By the way, the uploads to BitChute seem to be taking forever, and so it probably will never work at this point, would be my guess, but that is kind of the problem with having a BitTorrent technology run your video streaming service, is that if you have a YouTube content creator like me who has very few people actually watching my videos and thus very few people particularly kind of give that shared bandwidth if they were watching it on BitChute. I'm constantly going to have these videos that are at best going to have one seed and at worst going to have no seeds. Let's see, well, probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to do this, put that on the field. Since it seems like there is a helper website that is trying to get those videos on BitChute, leaving it to do its thing is perfectly fine by me. Even if it just never succeeds, it's not wasting any of my bandwidth or anything along those lines, so I'm happy to leave it as it is. But if there was anybody that was really excited or hyped to start watching my videos on BitChute, which I don't know why you would, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. There's still a lot of hysteria on YouTube about Copa, which I don't know if this drives a lot of people out and away from YouTube and making content. It might help my channel a little bit, but it probably wouldn't. Like, there is something I think in particular about my channel, just because it's such an old channel, that it probably isn't amongst the channels that are considered for getting promotion or getting on trending or anything like that. I suspect it is at the bottom of the list, and they just have it in a category of failed channels that won't ever really succeed, regardless of whether I did something drastically different. I mean, I've made big changes in the past few months. I've changed the times that the videos have aired. I've changed the times I've streamed. I changed the game I was streaming from Hearthstone to Magic Arena. Big changes happened there, and I really didn't see any new viewers because of that. Really didn't seem like I got any new views because of that. Let's see. Menace. This is a human knight, so I should wait until this is on the field before I do anything else. See, next we have a game on Steam called Two Kingdoms. Looks like it is just a top-down either tower defense or player versus player game. Either way, it seems pretty simplistic and short. It's $1.79, English only. Yeah, nothing there of enough quantity of quality to make it worthwhile. I'm thinking about actually playing State of Decay 2 when it comes out on Steam. Like, probably shouldn't. I probably should just jump to something like Dying Light. I imagine State of Decay 2 is not much different than that, and Dying Light is almost certainly the better game to play. I could kill this guy. Let's play this. And then all attack. And then ideally I want to be able to tap this and kill this. But apparently I can't do that right now. Next we have a game on Steam called Box, which just looks like a low effort platforming game. $3.49 is an odd price, particularly English only. Why can some of these guys just not defend? Can't activate his abilities. Darn it. Alright. Need to play this. That's what I need to do. Get my health back up. Yep. Box not making it to the follow list. Let's move on. See, Tech Raptor has an article here. Pokemon Sword and Shield sales exceed 6 million units. Seems like for all the complaining and all the problems that Pokemon Sword and Shield had, it really didn't stop anybody from buying the game, which, I mean, that's just a sad statement on, like, boycotts don't work. Right. Destroy target card. Right. This is an enchantment. And then that does that. And then that does that. And hit it. Oh, you only draw one card, apparently. Can't be blocked. I just screwed up. I screwed up. I didn't play conservatively enough, and I, because of that, lost. But at the very least, we went up one rank. Alright. 3 losses. Let's claim our prizes now. 200 gems in a pack. Okay. And this pack doesn't have anything to do with the other cards I have. Or I got in the draft. I don't think. This is all just extra stuff. So, if we were to look here at just Throne of Eldraine cards, collected and not collected. Let's just take a gander and see where we really are with this. There's clearly some we don't have, like this. 3 out of 6, or out of 12. Let's see. So, it really wasn't as bad of an idea to do another ranked draft. It was just kind of the wrong timing to do it. But also, it seems kind of obvious that some of these cards are just going to be rarer than others, because it doesn't make a lot of sense that we have a lot of 4 copies of what I assume are commons, and then not even 1 copy of what I assume are not uncommons. And there's kind of nothing here that it is explaining itself well enough to tell me whether this is a common or an uncommon. That seems to be something hidden only in the minds of people that know Magic the Gathering better than I do. I could assume something like this is a really good, like, ultra rare card, but how would I know on this screen? I guess I can come over here and figure it out that way. Alright. But that's kind of it. Yeah. And that is definitely not a long list of cards that are missing. It seems like I'm missing about 50. Really 50 cards of different amounts. If I was just trying to go for a complete collection, that'd be a lot easier. Right, we were going to play blue. I haven't done anything for Azure Skies in a while. And Azure Skies is not Azure Lane, which I'm still playing, but I'm almost certainly going to quickly burn out on, because it just does not seem like there's a way to automate the game and let it play itself, and you get a ton of stamina, and it feels like they really just want you to actually play the game for 4 or 5 hours every day, which Magic Arena already wants me to do that, and I'm not happy with that idea. So let's cover the rest of the news here. Terraria Journey's End update has been delayed to 2020. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, by the time I get around to playing Terraria, it will probably be completely irrelevant. OpenCritic has an article here. Code Vein Season Pass DLC will launch in early 2020. Let's see. 3 sets of DLC will add new boss fights, weapons, blood codes, gifts, customization parts, and more. It will also include costumes for companions. Blood Code Vein came out and was completely ignored by Western journalists. And it's still getting kind of completely ignored by Western journalists. It'll be interesting to hear end of the year reviews and realize that it's just not mentioned at all. That being said, I'm not like hearing a ton of fervor for Code Vein, even in the Eastern sites that I follow. So it doesn't feel like it really caught the attention of too many Japanese developers either. I think kind of the problem there is that Dark Souls only really succeeded because it succeeded in the West. So if you make an anime vampire Dark Souls, which is what Code Vein was selling itself as, you're trying to target to the East, and I don't think that's really what the audience was looking for. And in all fairness, if we look at this, this is not the moe art style that we're still kind of in the center of seeing in anime. The characters are taller, look like young adults, teenagers. They're not chibi, they're not really that cute. That is kind of more of an art style that would have made sense in the 90s more than any other time, more than now. And yes, of course, the game doesn't want to connect, so let's just relaunch. Yeah, I could probably immediately jump into the blue deck and just adjust the amount of mana and look at the cards I have and try to do a deck build again. But yeah, it takes so long to do any of this, and I don't know how you could incentivize or benefit somebody with looking at their cards or making decks, but perhaps there is some way you could maybe give a daily quest to go into your collection and look at your cards. Make one change to your deck. That actually would be a cool way to play it. Is make one change to your deck and play a new deck in ranked. So every week or so, you got rewarded in gold an amount, but just even a small amount to just make one change to your deck and play. And that would really mess with the meta quite a bit on a game like this, and just stop people from constantly playing these net decks over and over again. If you're making people make changes to get gold. Let's see. Well, we got a free victory there, and that's certainly nothing to mess with or complain about. TechRaptor has an article here. Become a Space Lannister in Star Dynasties. This looks like it is a top-down strategy game, much like Risk, just with a space background. Doesn't look particularly interesting as a game. Right. So, go ahead and play this first. And hope that counts as a blue, but I don't think it actually does. I don't think lands are considered spells, even though creatures are. It's confusing, I know, but that does kind of seem like the case. Let's see. That. Here's a merfolk. So now his ability doesn't work. TechRaptor has an article here. Daymare 1996 gets free DLC that's totally not hunk. Which I guess they're referencing the character Hunk from, yeah, the Hunk character from Resident Evil series. Okay. No, this game, Daymare 1998, might be kind of a Resident Evil clone. I've been kind of bad about trying out or looking for Resident Evil clones, and instead just kind of focusing on trying to play actual Resident Evil games on my PC. So I could see myself being a little bit wiser and seeing if there's some other first-person shooter adventure games fighting monsters and zombies. Now that we've covered quite a few of those on my series. In a weird way, I'm still I'm playing the zombie driver game, doing this second Halloween, so I still have plenty of spooky Halloween type games that I could play. I could turn this whole channel into a 24/7 365 spooky Halloween style game coverage if I wanted to, but yeah, there should be a break, and if anything, the second Halloween is going to go longer than it should. And then we need to play some happy-go-lucky things. What I did with my black deck is there's this beetle that stops other creature, your opponent, from putting 1/1 tokens on their characters. It's actually a lot better than it seemed at first. It's a nice countering of a strategy that my black deck is constantly using anyways. Let's see. Tech Raptor has an article here. Destroy and rebuild restaurants in Restaurant Flipper. I don't know why there would be too much different between flipping a house and a restaurant. Just slightly different installation and remodeling. It's this is from the same publisher as that published House Flipper and Cooking Simulator and The Beast Inside. Yep, I don't really feel like there'd be too much difference between the two. Seems like you maybe fumigate the area and clean the place up. I think kind of there's this inevitability though that house flipping and restaurant flipping and all of these are more funny concepts, perhaps in particularly interesting and funny concepts to video game journalists who probably don't have much experience doing physical labor of any kind, so they thought it almost from an aristocratic perspective of that it's quaint or interesting to pretend to be a laborer. But yeah. I don't think I can win here, but I can play blue cards, which is what I need to do. Yeah, I just watched the trailer of Restaurant Flipper, and it doesn't seem particularly different than House Flipper. The only thing I could say is that at one point you are actually pouring a beer from a tap, so that's different. But it would almost be nice if that software just integrated into an actual building design architectural software, and you got some kind of CAD files coming out of that, and you could use it to potentially build and design something that would actually be useful in the real world. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't do that. If I could just get this one off the field, that would be so nice. But I don't think I have anything that would do that. So it's just proliferating each time. Okay. Why can't I block any of these? Alright. Well, here, and here, and here. go. See, next we have a game on Steam here called Voyagers, which looks to me like it's kind of a Steam space SimCity. Looks a lot like Frostpunk but worse. $4.49 puts it a little too cheap. It's discounted. English full audio. 14 achievements that look exactly the same. Yeah, I have no confidence in that. And so I'm not going to bother to put that on the follow list. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here called Llama Drama, first person shooter. This clearly is just a low effort asset flip garbage game. We haven't seen anything this bad in a while. $2.39 discounted, English allegedly full audio. Yeah. It's been a while since we saw something that bad. Almost to the point where you might start to suspect there actually is some curation going on Steam these days. If there is some curation, it's an extremely light touch. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point going forward, Valve and Steam started saying, hey, particularly in VR games, since there aren't too many of those we have to moderate, we're going to start looking at these VR games with a tighter eye and say and approve or disapprove them for sale on our platform. But in a funny catch-22 way, you can't really ever do that because it would be... It's too late by the time you would start enforcing something like that, and you need a large amount of games on your platform for it to succeed. So yeah, I don't know what you really do there. Like, the only thing I could say is when you look at like all the bootlegs and terrible games that were allowed on the Atari, the Nintendo seal of approval, if you were to say the Nintendo was the next generation Atari, came into play there. So for PC games, it would have to be some new storefront. Steam 2.0, we're only letting the good games in this time, and I don't think that would work. Tap a target card, doesn't untap until the next turn. Play that. Let's see. And yeah, can't attack. So I'm gonna lose, but can stretch this out. You can see I'm a little short on mana. We've gone 3 or 4 levels here without enough mana, and I'm not short on high-end cards, but I am short on mid-tier and low-end cards. So next we have a game on Steam here called Avalo Legends, which looks like it's a player versus player game. Let's see. Early access, free, multiplayer only, English only. It doesn't have a third-party EULA or anything. So I guess maybe if you wanted to try something that looks like an Overwatch ripoff, and is named to be name confusion between Apex Legends and Overwatch and probably some other things I'm not even thinking of. I can feel myself getting loopy, and fuzzy-headed. There we go. We made it to the next rank. So, another thing on the mastery tree. Which, I've now come to realize these cosmetics are pretty worthless. They're going to be extremely worthless once they can only be played in historic, and I'm in no position to ever play in historic. Like, I would have to go back and buy some of the old packs and get very, very deep into playing Magic to justify having so many cosmetic skins for Throne of Eldraine once Throne of Eldraine is no longer allowed in standard. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article here. Epic Games Store Black Friday 2019 sale is live now. This was published Saturday. So, yeah, the Epic Games Store doesn't have a ton of games, but it's putting some of them on sale. And clearly, they need to get out in front of Valve's sales. And Valve kind of did a interesting thing there where they had a sale just for the Let's Play Together content alone, and then they're going to have the real sale happen either on Thanksgiving or Black Friday or Cyber Monday. One assumes that the remote play together event was not the only event that's going to happen. I actually should have played this instead of that. That way I would have had more diversity in the colors I could have played. It's not going to really affect anything, I imagine. Yep. I did find a website that would show me art. I don't know if the art's going to be any bigger than what I see here. But there is potentially a future in which I'll be able to look at some of these art pieces and get a better picture at what I'm looking at sometimes. It's a little confusing. TechRaptor has an article here. Arc of Alchemist hits PS4 and Switch in January 2020. This looks like a JRPG. This is a sequel to the Arc the Lad. No, wait, that's an anime, isn't it? I think a really old anime too. I guess Arc of Alchemist is just a JRPG. It's from Idea Factory, so I believe that's the Neptunia publisher. Perhaps what they're trying to do there is remove some of the cheesecake for the teenage-rated Neptunia games, and instead have a more family-friendly fare in a JRPG game. Yeah, I don't know if I really would believe that's the case, and nor do I know if I would believe Idea Factory has the capability or the skill to make something that's not an Idea Factory game, which most of them are Neptunia games. In theory, it's not a terrible idea to have 2 RPG games come out per year. One that's more like a Pokemon game, and one that's more like, well, a Final Fantasy game, something more difficult, and targeted towards older characters, or older players. Let's see. Can I not play this? So I could tap this character, but that wouldn't actually help me any. Why is this guy... I guess he did do damage, it's just... Boy, do I wish there were logs somewhere. He was just higher, he had healed himself up. How many cards are in his graveyard? 2? Alright. I'm gonna do this and then tap this creature and then play this and then attack. See. Gamatsu has an article here. Monster Hunter World Iceborne Expansion second major title update adds Stygian Xenogray. Launches December 5th. Plus new weapons and armor sets, new regions and more. So yeah, more creatures. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World came out in 2019, and in a funny way, probably should be like Game of the Year, in just full stop. And I wouldn't be surprised if all Western people forget it even came out, let alone mentioned it. And that's sad, considering how Monster Hunter World in particular was super successful in the West and was designed specifically to be more accessible to players in the West. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Monster Hunter game does kind of go back to its old style and becomes more of a targeting the Japanese, the Eastern market, and is not really accessible to new players or Western players in general who want something a little bit easier. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Hoarding Simulator, which seems to me might actually be closer to described as Theft Simulator, as you're running around stealing things. It's just a low effort asset flip game from the looks of it. It's $1.79, English only. Yeah, there's nothing there of interest. And we can play that each turn that he can't attack until he has 7 cards in his hand, in his discard pile, which could be a while. In fact, I probably will win before then, although who knows, all he has to do is cast a spell here, and I'd put 3 more cards in the discard pile. And so this card didn't say please, and the Vantress Gargoyle synergize pretty well. And that is a deck destruction concept, but like winning via deck destruction is not that useful. I would pretty much never attempt it. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Dusk Diver to add a PC exclusive Guardian boss. I don't remember what Dusk Diver is though, so I have to watch this video. Dusk Diver was kind of a weird mecha game. Like, I remember this character didn't look amazingly well animated, and that's pretty much all they're saying is, yep, they're adding a mech. Meanwhile, we're getting these daily quests done. We just need 16 more blue or black spells, and off screen I could certainly play my black deck. In fact, there's really no reason not to switch to my new black deck and just show it off for at least one game. We could be trying to play ranked, but honestly, the only time I'd want to play ranked is after I've gotten the 15 victories, because I don't want to waste any extra time trying to get victories when I don't need to. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Omega Labyrinth Life is coming to PC on December 10th. The roguelike X relationship game gets a Steam release date. This is a lewd anime girl dungeon crawler game. I don't think any of the Omega series has been particularly good. And it has somehow managed to run into several controversies, which is not good for the video game industry in general. See, this next game is tagged sexual content nudity also. So let me just make sure there's none of these screenshots are not YouTube family friendly. Here we have a game called Starlight, which it seems like you're clicking on these stars, and this isn't a visual novel because yeah, there's like nothing here. So it's just probably extremely low effort. It's probably just these stationary images, and then you click on stars. Maybe they lose an article of clothing each level. 59 cents discounted, English and a bunch of languages. I imagine this is a Russian troll game by the language support. That was the guess. Next we have a game on Steam here called id Ego, which looks like a first-person shooting game that's probably an asset flip first-person shooting game. But frankly, they've kind of run into that point where I can no longer even tell. So yeah, it took till this screenshot for me to realize that this isn't going to be a good game. And I can tell because the skybox looks terrible, and this is just reused assets, and they're proud of this screenshot that has nothing in it. Same is kind of the case here, just reused assets, empty room, no real foliage, no shadowing or shading. Yeah, $19.99 discounted, English full audio, third-party EULA. That is not a no-go for me. Alright, let's hop out of this game and launch it again. I'm glad I'm only sticking with Magic Arena until the Marvel game comes out from Second Dinner, because if I had to spend 3 or 4 years with it just constantly having trouble finding matches and making me exit out, which is the ridiculous part, I would not be happy. I was much happier with the way Hearthstone did it, where it would just sit there and keep on spinning and keep on trying, but it would actually try and eventually succeed. See, Gamasutra has an article. Microsoft is considering xCloud exclusive games from the first and third party studios that it deals with. There's an update here saying there are currently no plans for cloud exclusive content. We're very early in the multi-year journey, so apparently this entire article is wrong. Speaking of articles, there was an article talking about, a Kotaku article talking about how it might look like there's some cronyism going on in the fact that one of the people who works for or was in charge of Kotaku showed up in the Death Stranding game. Death Stranding in particular, just full of attempts that succeeded to instill cronyism, and very questionable as to why those attempts succeeded, why everybody didn't turn them down, why people would work in the video game review industry and then go and give their likeness, appearance, voice to a video game. and look like they've been compromised, because they have. It's ridiculous. And the fact that Kotaku is criticizing this apparent lack of ethics and journalism of one of their current or former employees really kind of then confirms all the people who have been claiming that there needs to be more ethics in games journalism for the past 10 years. So, I mean, how do you really get around that? Or not take it to mean that? Yeah, there just really needs to be a rethinking about how these people interact with game developers and how they treat them. And if these people actually did get a journalism degree, they need to pretend like they actually pay the attention in class and follow the rules that have already been established pretty well. Alright, so we on this deck with this slight twist, I've got it where there's a lot more spinning wheels and slight adjustments here and there for everything. So, like right now, I've pretty much won before he even realizes it. Pretty much won. If I play this next turn, that gives me 3 things that I can play. Or I can put this on the field and then use this ability. Let's see. All creatures gain trample and haste until the end of the turn. Sure, we'll do that. And then we'll put that on the field. Does that have haste? Nope, I didn't do that right. See, and you can play this, and it's like a mana, but it's not. You can just keep on playing. So I now have 5 here, and several here. See, and if I was to play that, I would bring back 1 thing for 5 health. That's not worth doing. So now I just need to heal, and I could do that next turn with using one of these as a green mana to gain 5 health, or a white mana to gain 5 health, and I've pretty much won. Now, I screwed up by not giving all of these characters haste, because I could have done that and killed I could have really done a 2-turn win here. Had each of these attacked, that would have been 11, 16 damage, more than enough. Here's the beetle that stops other people from getting +1/+1s, which is great. Let's see. Put that on the field. Play this. Play this. Bring back a card from the grave, which is that guy. And restore 5 health, which is this guy. And let's go ahead and restore another 5 health, which is this guy. And that's pretty much it. So all I have to do is 6 damage now and I've won. Like super fast. Like as long as he doesn't kill too many things on my field, I'm fine. So choose all attackers, attack here. Next. See, it's just asking me, do you want to activate this? Do you want to activate this? And so now I say, yes, I want to activate this, which is just select everything that is not a land, and including itself. Submit it. Destroys everything. Does a ridiculous amount of damage because of that guy. And then would have done 10 more damage. So we were 11 damage over on that. So I actually have a deck here that I'm pretty proud of. In fact, proud enough to really go.
It's my turn.
There's a Planeswalker I probably didn't have. Probably proud enough to actually play this in ranked. So let's try it out in ranked. Meanwhile, we still got a little bit of news, but we need to wrap up. We've been going 2 hours. Gamma Sutra has an article here. State of Decay 2 from Xbox Game Studio Undead Labs is heading to Steam. We already know that. So that's not really new news, but I figured I'd mention it again, I guess. It's probably a good hand to Mulligan. But whatever. We'll get rid of murder. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. An analyst says men are more likely than women to buy games based on reviews. I assume that is probably true. Certainly would explain why there aren't any women watching my channel according to YouTube. Not that I care. Like, I imagine there are probably a decent number of people that aren't logged in, that are female, that watch my channel, or they just lied about their gender whenever they set up their Google account, which who knows when that would have been. So this strategy this time is going to be a little bit different. We're going to try to not attack too much until we either have this on the field or one of the aerialists on the field. See, TechRaptor has an article here. Humble's Choices first month of games apparently leak. Humble Choice being the new name for the Humble Monthly service. So you're gonna get Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Blasphemous, Avoid Bastards, Phantom Doctrine, Dead and Vineland, Horizon Chase Turbo, Dark Future, Blood, Red States, Desert Chise, Aegis Defenders, and Exmorph. After like Dead and Vineland, none of those games even are recognizable to me. So it's like 5 recognizable names and 5 unrecognizable names, which is a little bad, but not terrible. Alright. So let's go ahead and put this on the field. And go ahead and put this on the field. I'm a little short on land. So I might be a little off on the land amount. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. Sony PlayStation is seeking a concept artist in San Diego, California. This is a 3 to 6 month temporary position through a staffing partner with a high likelihood of future work. So it seems like they want some temporary employee, very possibly to be the one that animates some of the art for the next PlayStation, if I was to guess. And if I cannot get one more mana, I'm gonna be in a weird position. Untap all lands you control at the end of your turn. It's interesting. But he only has like 2 cards, so he's probably not going to be able to do too much with that. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here called Overstep, which looks like it is a Jet Set Radio skating game where you're also fighting each other, kind of like Overwatch as robots. It's a free-to-play thing. It doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look great. Early access, in-app purchases, allegedly full audio in English. Yeah, anything that I would play, certainly, since it's a VR thing. Finally we can start moving forward with my strategy. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Wrath Aeon of Ruin. I feel like people have been saying Wrath was really good. It looks like it's a Quake Doom clone to me, and I don't think I really want to play a game like this. Even though people are hyping it up quite a bit. Like a modern Doom Quake clone that still looks like the old Doom Quake is not really what I'm looking for. This is early access. It's $23.74 with a 5% discount. Allegedly has English full audio. That's, yeah, not something that interests me, even if a bunch of other people are saying it's worth the time. Alright, we've got to do this first. Next we have a game on Steam called Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts. This is already mixed in reviews, and so I don't think it's really even worth putting on a follow list. It looks like it was something that was supposed to be a good game, but then probably fell apart in its handling. $26.99 discounted, English full audio, a bunch of other languages, 40 achievements, a Metacritic of 71. See if we can get a negative view. Is this an EA game? Yeah, it seems like it's missing something. It's not an EA game, but clearly people are not happy with it. I have 2 1-mana things. Put that on the field. Yeah, Sniper Ghost Warrior contracts. Just apparently not good quality-wise. So a 2 and a 3. Alright, so we do this, and then we do that, and we block. Well, I lost there. So I might be a little bit short on mana. Or it might be that this deck is just kind of 50-50. Like it might just be that it's a bit of a coin flip. Let's go one more game. This game does not want to load, so I'm just going to skip forward. TechRaptor has an article here. Rocket League Blueprints updates arrives this December. We've probably mentioned this several times, and I keep bringing it back up for no reason other than it seems like 1 week TechRaptor reports on it, and then the next week Gamatsu reports on it, and then the next week Gamasutra reports on it. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article. Sea of Thieves, the Seabound Soul unleashes fire and ash. Which, okay. I don't think anybody's going to go back and play Sea of Thieves. It'd be a hard time convincing me that any of those that there's any way Sea of Thieves could be playable, since it's this multiplayer only thing that never really got off the ground successfully. Geez, I wonder if the Steam sale has just started, because now all of the Steam pages are failing to load. Let's do this. And this. I should have played this actually. Well, this might actually mean that we just, if these are not going to load, we'll just talk about these games on Wednesday. Hopefully they'll load then. TechRaptor has an article here. Catan World Explorers merges tabletop and augmented reality. I don't know why Settlers of Catan in augmented reality, though, would be a fun game. This World Explorer's twist on it must change how the game actually plays quite a bit. Otherwise, it wouldn't make much sense. Didn't load. Like, none of the images are loading up for any of these Steam games. Which is fine. I only have like 10 Steam games anyways. So this one is getting +1/+1 counters, and this stops the opponent from getting +1/+1 counters. Which is kind of just a cruel trick to play. TechRaptor has an article here. Inmost review, which Inmost looks like it's a Apple Arcade game.
Ever see a volcano erupt in person?
Kind of a
You're about to.
Platforming game?
Time to blaze a path to victory.
Metroidvania game? Yeah, it looks like it's a platforming Metroidvania type game. They gave it an 8.0, but you can only play it on Apple Arcade. Let's see. Blockers. No blocks. Not this turn. Instead we play this. And then go ahead and attack here. And go ahead and don't attack anywhere else. Yeah, it says, Inmost is ambitious as it is beautiful. Inmost is another example of why you shouldn't cancel the Apple Arcade subscription just yet. Its amazing presentation and fun gameplay makes Inmost a must-play title. Pros stunning visuals, fun and intuitive puzzles, and natural touch controls. Cons frustrating, difficult bosses, and difficult to play on an iPad. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like my black deck is not doing as well as I had hoped. Clearly. It seems like I've got it relatively set as far as playing as far as just playing non-ranked play, but once you get it ranked at gold tier, you are in a bad position. And yeah, we got to bronze tier 3 here, and the season ends in 5 days, so 5 days I'll end up spending another 5,000 gold, and we're at rank 21, and I'll probably get up 1 more or 2 more ranks before just off screen. And the only other, like, since none of these Steam games are coming out, that's something. Gears of War 5, I wanted to mention, is in mixed reviews. So, I mean, I can show this with none of the images loading, but so, yeah, I'm going to leave that on the fall list, but it seems like Gears 5 is not being well received on PC and on Steam. And that brings me to the Humble Bundle, which, again, suspicious that I suspect that there won't be any new Humble Bundle sales or anything until Black Friday. See, Open Critic has an article here. Google Stadia team addresses one problem as another emerges. I don't know what that article would be. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. Let's see. Pokemon Go, Pokemon storage, and item storage increased, which I guess if you're playing Pokemon Go is probably very helpful. Let's see. Rebellion has purchased Xenon and the Speedball developer Bitmap Brothers, or the Bitmap Brothers. See, Gamasutra has an article here. Shovel Knight Showdown, designing a roulette of gameplay. Shovel Knight Showdown, a Smash Brothers clone, it looks like. And yeah, I'm just trying to scroll down and see if there's anything that's new news. I did use the TubeBuddy Copa check tool, and it said, yeah, none of your videos have been none of my videos have been flagged as targeted towards children, which is great, but at any point that could be changed, certainly. I imagine if YouTube really cares and wants to do it, they will start scanning old channels and old videos and start labeling things as targeted towards children. Although perhaps I immediately have an out, because since all my videos have already been kind of labeled as video games and they know the title of the video game pretty easily, perhaps they can just they'll just be lazy about it and say, well, if you're playing a rated M for mature game, which is the vast majority of the games I play. I do play, or have in the past played, a lot of Lego games, but otherwise most games are M for mature more than anything else. They may just say, well, if you're playing an M for mature game, you can't possibly be targeting your videos to someone under 13. I imagine YouTube's not going to do much of anything. It's all going to be on the FCC potentially getting complaints or hunting down specific videos and specific channels, and YouTube is going to mostly keep their hands off of the process as much as they can. You can clearly see that in the fact that they're blaming their lack of following the law on content creators and saying content creators are responsible, when really they shouldn't be responsible. And I don't know, this is how I guess crony capitalism works in US politics, is that the fact that YouTube could convince the FCC to not enforce the law on them, but instead enforce the law on the creators of the videos, is pretty ridiculous, when it is a matter of YouTube was collecting data improperly. And there's a new California privacy protection law, so YouTube needs to start following that law also, and pretty much any other law that they should be following. Anyways, that's going to be it for this stream, just one recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, the sales are coming on this week, so you could gift me a gift card, or you could gift me a game off my wish list on Steam, or gift me a Steam gift card after friending me, or you could support me through Patreon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.